Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Blizzard Watch podcast. It's on fire! Pre-show.
Oh man, I better introduce myself.
But yeah,
hey, I'm Cory.
We're just gonna actually do that. Just go ahead, Cory. We'll start with Cory. Cory, go introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Cory. You know, I've been here a bunch. You probably know my name by now.
I mean, if not, we just told them.
It's true.
Joe.
Hi, I'm here.
Liz.
Liz, I'm also here.
And I'll form the head. So yeah, we've got some stuff to talk about. Some interesting things happened. One in particular I know we'll talk about because Cory's here. But in the meantime, let's just talk about that very Warcraft news. Patch 11.2, Ghosts of Krush. It's going to be releasing on August 5th now. That's the official release date. And Season 3 is beginning on the 12th of August, which is what you wrote there. And I don't know why I couldn't remember that. What do you guys think? I mean, like, is that, like, were we expecting it sooner? Did you think it was going to be later? Like, how are you guys feeling on this?
Hey, I think this was about...
Okay,
on,
Liz. No, Liz, you go.
I think this was about when we expected it. We actually, the official Blizzard Watch prediction was a week before this. But considering how the schedule's going, this sounds about right. Blizzard has been really consistent about a patch every 2 months, even when that feels super insanely fast. And so this feels like it's right on the money. So
what are we looking forward to most here? What's the, I mean, just going to Krush at all? I mean, there's zones, there's Krush, and then there's the Manaforge Omega raid, right? That's it? Mm-hmm. There's not a bunch of zones. There's just the one zone that's Krush.
We're going to Krush, and the new kind of base of operations is going to be Tazavesh, which you may have heard of Tazavesh before. It's it's a place. It's been a place. I mean, we're taking us to somewhere we've never been before, but we have heard a lot about, and maybe unraveling a few mysteries that certain people have only speculated about up until now.
I don't know what you're talking about, Joe.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of fading in and out.
Okay, I'll try to rephrase it. What are you looking forward to in 11.2 in terms of what? I'm going to ask you strip story stuff here. What do you want to see? What are you hoping we get to see here?
I mean, I don't want to get into spoilers because there's people that are probably listening to this that don't want it.
Obviously,
I'm getting everything I want, so like I can't really speculate because from what I've seen, everything I've been asking for is already being put into the game, including something you and I had talked about a year ago. So I'm okay just kind of chilling and just waiting to actually get through and play through it because I couldn't help myself and I went digging for spoilers.
Oh yeah, I think you would have. But here's I wanted to ask this one to everybody involved. Do you think how much more War Within do you think we're actually gonna get?
I think it's wrapping itself up with the Krush expansion or patch, because it's more than ever. These are going to be tied one expansion to the next expansion, so they don't really need to have much more come out after this one because any dangling story threads we know are immediately going to be hit with midnight.
Yeah, I'm looking right now at the roadmap, and what we've got after 11.2, which again is the beginning of August, is 11.2.5, which is sometime in the autumn, which has new content and system updates, and the 21st anniversary, I believe is what that says.
Oh my God. 21st anniversary.
It can now legally drink in most American states.
That hit me where it hurts.
And then at some point after that, between autumn and winter, is 11.2.7, which is going to have story and quests. I would assume both of those things, but sure. And new content and system updates, whatever that is, but we already had that in 11.2.5. So that feels like it could be wrapping up. Like, it does feel to me like that this could be the last season. This is season 3, right? It's starting on the 12th.
This is season 3. I expect we'll have a season 4, but it's not going to be one of those seasons 4s where they have a big new raid. I expect something like the Fated raid system that we've seen, where it's just like, oh, we're gonna throw these raids back up with some new mechanics or some new difficulty, and you can play through the old content again. But I don't expect any big new content from here. Maybe some more story content that will lead us in to midnight as we get a little closer. But I think this is going to be the last big update.
Probably. Like, I mean, it'll probably be the last big update, but we're also entering a weird area where I'm trying to think how to phrase this. The line between expansions is going to sort of be blurry for the next like 2 that come after this. So where one ends and one starts is probably going to be a little blurry. So saying how much more the War Within we get is a loaded question, because it might be more than you expect, because we might be coming back here for things. And there's certainly the potential to tie us back to things here. I mean, we're dealing with void stuff and crystal stuff and all this other weird stuff. It's going to come back to the Earthen at some point. And we know that Titan stuff is in the future. It's going to come back to the Earthen at some point. Like, it feels like what's coming is not necessarily the same distinction we've had with other expansions in the past, where it's like a new one releases and the old one's just kind of like forgotten. Unless you're doing a specific thing, or there's a pet or a mount or something that gets added to the old content that you want to go get, that all 3 of these are sort of tied together in a way that means we'll probably be going back and forth between all of them while the story arc is playing out. And I bring this up because this current patch that we're on pre 11.2, where did we go? We went back to the Arathi Highlands. When was the last time we were at the Arathi Highland?
Not long enough ago.
Battle for Azeroth, I would say.
Battle for Azeroth, right? And that was a huge story beat, and it was a huge thing. And then the next thing released, and we forgot all about it. But it already seems like they have an appetite for tying this stuff back together and weaving this stuff back together, so that bits and pieces of fallen off story or content are not just islands anymore. So I don't know. Like, this could be the last we see of the War Within, or it could just be that the title changes, but some of the scenery stays the same, or we wind up having to work back and forth between them. Just throwing that out there too as a possibility, because they seem a little more, I don't want to say recycling, but they seem a little more cognizant of the stuff we've been lambasting them for years about, which is, you do something, it's there for a month, and then you forget about it, and then it's gone. Looking at you, Siren Isles. So who knows?
We also have Chris Metzen back, which he's going to have maybe more nostalgia, more interest in older storylines, where something like Dragonflight, where we really felt like we were treading a lot of new ground and telling different kinds of stories. You know, Metzen coming back really is kind of a nod to old school World of Warcraft. So I think we're seeing more tie-ins to other stuff.
Can I just say that, like, that's a double-edged sword?
Yeah, I know it is.
Right, because I will argue that, like, Dragonflight and some of the stuff that was happening without him there and moving away from his storytelling, like, board, was some of the best storytelling they've had in game ever, because it evolved. So
I agree with you. Yeah. It's not necessarily a good thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I think it's something we're going to see because Chris Metzen is back, and he has a certain style of storytelling. He has kinds of stories he likes, and he's going to be maybe more attached to some of those classic characters and classic story arcs, when the game had been trying to at least explore new directions and new spaces and new kinds of storytelling. And I feel like that's always been a bit of a problem with World of Warcraft, because the story will be doing this, and then it's the next expansion, and you had different people writing it, or someone different sort of in charge of its direction, and then so you just forgot everything in the last expansion. And then you do a new expansion, you forget everything in the last expansion, because you had whoever was writing this had something different in mind. They had different interests. So because of the duration, World of Warcraft has been around for 20 years. It's had a ton of different people involved with writing it. It is very difficult, perhaps impossible, to tell a coherent story that ties up every thread, that always finishes narratives instead of leaving them mid-story, as sometimes happens when an expansion ends. Hey, Yrel, what happened with that? We never went back to that. That's still hanging there. Yrel offered to come help us out if we needed it.
Well, then she went nuts and destroyed her world, apparently. So, at least we got the Magari orcs out of it. That's cool.
Hey, they're great orcs.
I mean, that was alternate universe. I don't know.
Yeah, it was that alternate universe that we had been visiting. But I do want to mention really fast that you put a note here that I didn't want us to skip before we talk about other things. You mentioned that you were wondering how Race for World First was going to go, considering that they'll basically have Season 3 opening with the raids on the 12th, and then 8 days later on the 20th, Gamescom starts.
Yeah, and we know specifically that Gamescom is going to have midnight reveals. So that's another reason it feels like we're wrapping up the War Within, because in a month, we are going to get our first kind of big reveal for midnight. We're right on the cusp of hearing all of this stuff. So that's part of why I feel like we're winding down on the War Within's particular arc.
I do like that this Race to World First will not have the looming threat of like Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving hanging over people.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
at least there's that ticking clock won't be there.
We got a different ticking clock instead.
Yeah.
But I do think we should also mention really fast that if you are right now, as we're recording this, it's the early part of July. If you're thinking, wow, I want to get a different character ready to go before the new stuff comes out in August. From about July 15th to August 12th, we're going to get the Winds of Mysterious Fortune buff, which is going to give you the XP buff, obviously. It will also include buffs for Goblin Cartel faction rep, which means that if you've been trying to get your Goblin Cartel faction stuff up, now you can do that too. So that's nice. I think it's always nice when they give this buff. Go ahead, Liz.
We have seen Winds of Mysterious Fortune before. It is... Bring this up right now. It is a... It's a big experience buff. 20%. Why are there so many numbers in this? I thought I was going to explain this really concisely, and then it just totally did not happen like that.
20% until from levels 10 to 79.
Yes. So, and there are going to be mysterious satchels that can drop or that you can get from turning in quests, which can give you an additional experience buff. And of course, you also have the fact that if you've leveled any characters to 80 already, you get a 5% experience buff for each of those characters. Also, in the middle of this buff's duration, we'll also have the Darkwind Fair, which will give you another potential experience buff. So you can stack this pretty high and get a character to max level kind of in the blink of an eye. Last time this was around, it gave you reputation boost to Dragonflight and War Within factions, except for the Goblin Cartels and the new Hallowfall faction, Flames Radiance. But this time it will give you a reputation buff with all of the Undermine factions and cartels and Flames Radiance, if you're behind on those in particular. I know for my part, I leveled Undermine reputation until I got bored, and my cartel reputation is just, it's lagging, and I don't know if I'm going to have the enthusiasm to work on it now, but maybe, because this is a 100% boost to reputation gains in the War Within factions and a 200% boost in Dragonflight factions. So it's a good boost. I don't know if I have the patience to finish those, but...
One last thing is that when Turbulent Timeways goes live, you will be able to stack the effect of the Mastery of the Timeways buff with the Winds of Mysterious Fortune buff as well. So if you are looking to level as fast as possible, that's another thing to consider.
The gear from those bags is also not something to sleep on too, because leveling a new character these days, you can find those big gear stretches where you just don't get any real loot, and then you'll come into like a new continent, and all of a sudden everything is that you would have melted a minute ago just because you went up a level bracket. All of a sudden you're having a harder time.
Yeah.
So having that fancy bag that drops every once in a while, keeping you current, is really nice.
And the first one that drops every day is called a Pristine Mysterious Satchel, which means it's going to drop with better quality gear and greater loot in it. So there's that as well. There's also experience potions that you can get as a Warbound item as well. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's a cornucopia of leveling buffs. So many. All piled together. Of course, one thing I'm going to ask all of you, do you have any alts that you have not leveled? We've had so many different leveling buff events.
I have tons of them that I haven't leveled. And
Okay.
in fact, I'm currently thinking about coming back for this. just so I can get them leveled up because, it sounds like a much faster. And it means I can get my Death Knight up, which I've had a love-hate relationship with Death Knighting for a while. At one point, I think it was back in Battle for Azeroth and Shadowlands, my Death Knight was like my main alt. It was my warrior, and then my Death Knight, and then my other warriors, and then my paladin. But now I'm thinking, I could I have my warriors leveled. I have like at least 2 warriors to max level. I think I actually have 4 warriors to max level. I'll get the Death Knight up, and then I'll pop the paladin up. I think if I have time, just because I only really heal on the paladin. So, and I'm terrible at ret, so I'm not going to try that. But no, I'm actually interested.
What about you, Joe?
I'm pretty caught up on my alts as far as the ones that I'm going to get to max level. So this one is probably not as important for me. So, I mean, I'm happy for everybody who's going to take advantage of it, but it's probably one that I will not be taking advantage of.
Cory?
Cory.
There's always another character to level, right? That's the trap.
That's true.
The beauty and the trap. There's always someone else that you're like, oh, well, what if I wanted to try this? Or, hey, remember when that was fun? Maybe it still is. So events like this are always great for shaking the rest off a couple characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might grab my shaman while I'm at it. But we should probably also quickly talk about, we don't want to spoil anything, as Joe pointed out recently, but there's a new short story called The Doom of Krush, which is a Locust Walker story that kind of gives you the nuts and bolts on how Krush got the way it was and why the ethereals are there, and also why we're also seeing people from Shadowlands in this thing and how they relate. I don't want to spoil that either, so I'm not going to say it. But if you know, you know. But that's out, so you can read that up.
You can read that, but also there is an audiobook version, which is on YouTube, read by Ray Porter, who is the voice of Locust Walker.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't recognize him. Oh, good job, boy.
You can get him when he has that. He's doing the Locust Walker thing with the special effects on the voice, but also he's really good at doing voices. This is a professional. He does a great job.
Yeah, he's actually done a ton of things. He's one of those actors who's been in a lot of. He does a lot of audiobooks. He's done a ton of actual just straight up voice acting. Really well known character.
He read Project Hail Mary for the audiobook, which was spectacular. The audiobook was really good. So if you prefer listening to reading, go listen to these. Very good.
All right. So that pretty much covers everything for World of Warcraft. But then there's WoW Classic, which is getting the Classic Anniversary Realms. They're on their Phase 5 as of July 10th, so in 2 days as we're recording this. And that's going to start the Encourage War effort, which will, of course, then open to 2 raids. I forget, it's City and Tomb. I can remember City and Temple of Encourage, I think. But regardless, there's 2 of them. One of them was originally a 10-man, and one of them was originally a 40-man. And I think that's how they're going to go this time, right? That's how they do raids in Classic. They still do the 10 and 20.
Ruins of Encourage is 20 players, which
20
I
players.
Actually do think it started out as 20 players.
No, you're right. It was always 20 players. So just like Solgarub was. Yeah.
Yeah, Temple of Encourage, which is 40 players. So it's still those classic sized raids. Super sized raids where you had to get... Can you imagine organizing 40 people to do something at the same time? That just seems so impossible today.
I mean,
but
I actually physically did it. And yet I don't know how. It feels like a dream.
I did 40-man raiding myself back in the day, and I cannot imagine just getting 40 people together at the same time to do something today. Every week,
so many
probably.
Things have to go where so many things had to go right.
We had I remember there were 5 paladins who just didn't actually participate much in anything, just so we could have them die and then get up and res people. They didn't do this all at once, mind you, but it's just that there were 5 paladins who would alternate. Which one of us is going to be the sacrificial paladin this time?
And if you're a paladin, all you really have to do is stand in the back and cast your 5-minute buffs on everybody. That's your job in Classic.
But regardless, that's going to be this week. Now we can talk about something absolutely horrifying. Warcraft Rumble, not the game itself. That wasn't absolutely horrifying. what happened to it was Microsoft just laid off 9,000 people. And while they were doing that, they also decided, hey, let's kick a puppy on our way out. So they shuttered Warcraft Rumble, and it's now in maintenance mode. And I believe we found out about this by like one of the people that worked on it basically posting to X, oh, hey, I got laid off. Or possibly it was Bluesky, I don't know.
As with most things, I think we first heard about it from employees saying they were laid off, but Blizzard did make an official post about it the same day. I do want to clarify that 9,000 people were not all in the gaming division. They were spread out across Microsoft. But the only official comment Microsoft made about how much of this affected gaming was they said less than half. Except phrasing it in the way where you say less than half makes it sound like it was really close to half. And if it was, that is a lot. Whole lot.
That is not half of Microsoft's total corporate structure. So if you're laying off like 45% of the layoffs are from gaming, that's disproportionately a lot more in the gaming thing. That's just how that works.
But we do not know exactly how many people were laid off in the gaming division or how many people were laid off at Blizzard. We do know that the Warcraft Rumble team used to be about 100 people, I believe. Am I right there, Cory?
That's what it made it seem like as all this was going down, about 100 people. That's down from its initial launch too, because there was another round of layoffs that took out an undetermined amount of people from that division as well, which was earlier in the Rumble life cycle. That was when they said that it was just for the developers who needed to get a whole game off the ground kind of thing, and that the people left would be the ones taking care of a live service game and shepherding it forward. But now 2 people.
Yeah, I really don't have anything pithy to say about this, other than yikes. It is. Yeah. I think, and maybe Liz and Joe were having a discussion about this that I stumbled in earlier and I didn't actually take part in, but I still remember the point one of you made, and I don't remember which one of you. I'm sorry, but that if they could have just sold toys and probably made more money. Just the art design of the game was really great, and it really had a cool toy feel to it.
Warcraft Rumble had so many things going for it in so many ways that made it charming and made it fun, and a game that I'm still poking at every once in a while, despite the fact that there has been an official announcement from Blizzard saying Warcraft Rumble is now not having any new content being developed for it. There will be no new content coming out. The 2 people left on the team are just there to fix bugs and take existing events and populate them back into the calendar, so that they'll keep a calendar rolling and people can still log in and play the game and buy things from the store. But that's it. We've seen all that we're going to see for Warcraft Rumble, which is sad because it was fun. There was a lot of things that it could do right and well. And on the topic of selling toys, if there had been toys to buy for it, amazing. People would have been all over that. At the same time, Warcraft Rumble did the really nice thing and released all of its mini files as 3D printing files, so you could.
Did it actually release all of them? I thought there were just like a handful of them.
No, there was a lot though.
It released the launch ones, and then it released the ones that you could play. I don't think it ever released all of them. But they even just had a recent batch come out in the last 2 months, 3 months, when Arthas was released, that included all up to Arthas. So I don't think Thrall's part of it, but as he's the most recent one.
I'm looking through the files right now because I downloaded literally all of them before they go away.
There you go. Yeah, so most, if not all, available for 3D print, but some people don't have a 3D printer or they don't want an unpainted mini. So if Blizzard had gone these guys are great little vinyl standy Funko kind of sized things, just sell them. Easy way to make money for the game.
Or Blizzard, I'm just suggesting this, you could have possibly just completely stolen Warhammer 40K and just done it with Warcraft characters. That's just a thought. Why not? People like to buy and paint things, man.
They sure do. Every time Rumble felt like it was getting any kind of momentum, there would be some bug that popped up, or they would be too coy with an update schedule, or at no point did we ever get a roadmap of what content was maybe coming or maybe being worked on. They just, which goes a long way, especially when it's a free to play game. Not only do you need to let people know that, yeah, big things are in the works, stick around, but you know what? If you tell me that, hey, there's a lot of fun stuff coming down the line, we're really working on this, we've got a plan, we're going to stick to it. You know what? Maybe I'm a little bit looser with my wallet. Maybe I'm going to spend that $5 or $10 when there's a new unit that comes out, and I'll get like one of their bundles or two of their bundles. And then Rumble makes more money because I'm like, well, this is going to be around for a minute. I've got $5 sitting in my pocket. I could spend it on Starbucks, or I could buy some skill points for my batlings.
Yeah, I think the problem though is like I think Warcraft Rumble also released at a wrong time, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I think had this had been 2010, 2012, somewhere in that range, mobile games for Americans, and I'm not saying the rest of the world because I can't speak to those markets, but like here were peak. It was still a novelty, and I'm not saying that they're not now, but I'm like people were a lot looser with their wallets when it came to like transacting in those types of games. A lot of that is like been curtailed, the current economic environment, as well as the fact that sometimes, like you mentioned, paying $5 to have skill points or to do stuff like that. The appetite for paying money to advance in like game features versus pure cosmetics is way different than it was a decade ago. So like,
Yeah.
I think Rumble in that regard was a game that was in production for probably quite a while. Developed
About 9 years.
Developed with a mindset that is about a decade old, as far as its offerings go, and is a shame because they had a really great aesthetic. The gameplay wasn't for me, but it wasn't bad. But like, and the other thing too, like 10 years ago, literally 10 years ago, they could have done a toy to life model and it would have been gangbusters. Like you're talking about selling toys for this stuff now. And yeah, some people would buy like their favorite characters and, have them on there because the art style is really good. But if they had done that 10 years ago and had it where like, hey, buy this character, it has an NFC chip and unlock something in the game, people would be throwing money at those. I'm looking at you, Amiibos. I'm looking at you, all the literally Skylanders and Lego Portal and all these other games that did that stuff that were huge.
I'm going to straight up say this. Disney killed that by themselves.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Disney Infinite killed that because they took this idea and then they refused to actually commit to it and just dragged it out until they just strangled all the life out of it. But that's just me being mean.
No, but I'm saying like had Warcraft Rumble done that 10 years ago, it probably would have seen more commercial success monetarily. It was just positioned in a weird way. And then the tie-ins with like Warcraft were fine, but I think also there was a level of resentment for some people too, where like I know during Dragonflight, the number of people I heard complaining about why is this blanking blank quest continually popping up for me for something that I'm never going to interact with and I can't get rid of it or get rid of it off my map. And so I do the quest and try to get rid of it, and then it's just back the next day. It's so in my face. I have no desire to do this. Whereas had it been maybe marketed a little less aggressively in the game, trying to capture a Warcraft crowd and actually go after mobile gamers, it probably would have done better too. Like marketing for it was a little weird. And it's a shame because it wasn't a bad game and the aesthetics were peak. So just my 2 cents on it. And it's a shame that we will never see it live up to its full potential. And I do feel bad for all the people that worked on it and that are no longer able to do so.
Oh yeah, it looked like a lot of fun to work on. I met a few of them at BlizzCon a few years ago, and everyone I talked to about it was super fun to talk to and loved what they were doing. It never got the momentum it needed to succeed in a mobile game market. It was doing fine according to people who were like paying attention to the markets and paying attention to mobile gaming trends. It wasn't setting the world on fire, but it was making a little bit of money, enough to keep itself going, sure, but not enough to excel, and certainly not going to reach the sky high Blizzard expectations, I assume. Because they're Blizzard, your game has to be a hit, or
I think it's also, it was in a weird transition period because like you had Activision still like running the reins for a good portion of it, and then Microsoft comes in and takes over, and it's already been at the time that Microsoft took over, Warcraft Rumble had been out for a little bit, and I think the damage had already been done. And so now you have layoffs and everything else. Of course, Microsoft's going to look at it and say, there's no ROI on this, or the ROI is so low that it's not worth it. Let's move people to other positions or get rid of those things and shutter the project and work towards other things. And I'm not trying to defend Microsoft. I want to make sure that's perfectly clear to those listening at home. But it's understandable where in the suite of games available at Blizzard, they would look at Warcraft Rumble and say, maybe we don't maintain this anymore, right?
Yeah, too much work for not enough gain.
And then
Plus, I mean, if you're coming in to a project that the previous people were really excited about, and you're not excited about it, that's going to be a problem.
And the other thing that I'll point out there too, and this is not just to get Cory going, but because I think this is relevant here, it's also a weird point in the market where a lot of games for specific game types are in flux. So like MOBAs are in flux right now because Smite is currently moving from Smite 1 to Smite 2. There's a whole plethora of drama around that. League of Legends has its own set of drama and things that are going on with Riot. And it's a thing where like if you had a choice between Warcraft Rumble or maybe looking at reigniting your MOBA IP to compete in that market when there's an opportunity to do so and the timing is right, do you maybe try to shift? I'm not saying they're doing that, and I'm not saying that they will do that. Part of me hopes that that would happen, but looking at it, that's more of an opportunity versus here's this mobile game we're going to try to compete with the sea and flood of mobile games that are out there already.
Yeah.
So, I feel like one of Rumble's biggest problems was, I mean, all mobile games are going to have some sort of monetization. Free-to-play mobile game, you've got to have some sort of monetization. You got to pay the developers, etc. But it was balanced in such a way as to be grindy. It was not balanced to be a fun game. It was balanced for progression to be slow. It was intentionally balanced for slow progression, and you could hit kind of break points in the game that were hard walls because you hadn't leveled the right minions and heroes, and you'd have to go back and start over and level different things.
You know what it reminded me of? And I don't know how many people are going to remember this or how many people are going to curse me for bringing this up. It reminds me of that stupid Farmville game on Facebook that everybody was super into, that you'd get to a point and the only way to do more in a day, because you got like an hour of activity a day or something like that, was to spend real life money, and people did it. But you're right. Like, it was grindier than I think people want. And we talk about this all the time. In a free-to-play game, and I know this is weird to say when people are sitting there like bashing their head against like Night Rain and Elden Ring and Souls-like games. But when you play a free-to-play game, you the expectation is that it's going to be you spend money on fun things, not spend money to play the game. And
and we're also in an era where even Souls-likes are saying, hey, wait a minute, we should let them get experience when they die so that they can actually make progression even while they're not progressing through this boss, so that they can gain some power and maybe get through it a little easier. When that's happening, even in those games, people are just not willing to sit there and bang their heads against things as much.
We talk about this all the time on the show, right? Like, if you have, like, especially with mobile games, I find this is probably a less of a tolerance for people too. And I know we're talking about this topic a lot, but I've been pretty quiet today and I have opinions. Mobile games tend to lend itself more to a drop-in, drop-out style of gameplay. Oh, I have 20 minutes while I'm commuting to, like, on the train, or I'm waiting for my appointment. I've got 15 minutes. And that's fine, and that works for the vast majority of people who would like pick that up. It's one of the reasons why Marvel Snap is so successful,
I
right?
was literally just thinking some Marvel Snap.
Like Marvel Snap, like when we talked with Ben Brute about it, like that's literally their model, and literally with like they're like, we look at people that are dropping into mobile games and they've got 10, 15 minutes, and we want to maximize that time, let them have fun, let them feel that they progress, and then they can go about their business. And Marvel Snap is a commercial success by any metric because of that, because they cater to the sort of that mentality. And then you have Warcraft Rumble, which is very, very grindy and wants you to sit down and play it like an old school tower defense game. Because I remember original like Defense of the Ancients, we're talking the original Dota, like you sat there and an average game would take you hours, right? Like if you were doing well, it would take you hours. And Warcraft Rumble had a lot of that DNA in it. Not that it was purely that, but it had a similar vibe. And it wanted you to spend a lot of time in the game, harkening back to the other like thing, the design philosophy that you see in Warcraft, which is try to entice you to spend more time in game as often as possible from a decade ago that we were talking about forever ago. So I think that it was a really great idea that wasn't given enough nutrients to like thrive. Like it needed a different philosophy, it needed a different direction in order to capture an audience. And I think it like had it again, I'll go back to it, if it had been a decade earlier, I think it would have been a smash hit.
This is a little similar to Heroes of the Storm, where I feel like they released Heroes of the Storm at a time when this was no longer the new hot commodity. This was no longer the new hot kind of game.
Well, I remember Heroes of the Storm released right at the time when Warner Brothers pulled the plug on DC Crisis. And DC Crisis was their big like name brand MOBA with all the DC heroes, right? And I had a friend who was he was an AI engineer on that project, and literally he got canned like the same week that Heroes of the Storm released, because Crisis was Warner Bros. Was like, we're not going to do this. The market's too saturated. We're out. And it's the same thing that you saw with battle royales. How many battle royales out there that were in the flood of them after Fortnite was successful? We're not talking about that game. But like look at Spellbreak, or look at Paladins, or look at why can't I remember the other one where like you instead of dying you turned into a chicken and then you had to be killed the second time. But like those games released to great fanfare, and because there was a flood of them, just fell off the radar. And then so anything that came after it was overly scrutinized. I'll stop talking now so that we can move on. So I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, we do have some Hearthstone to talk about really fast.
Speaking of monetization.
Yeah. We'll just mention really quickly that the Lost City of Ungoro expansion is now live. Hearthstone's Lost City of Ungoro expansion is now live, which is bringing quests back to the constructed mode. And there's going to be the kindred keyword. So somebody who plays Hearthstone, explain what that means.
So basically it's a new expansion. You get 140 some odd new cards you can collect, and also some new mechanics. This time, quests are coming back. For a while, quite a few expansions ago, quests were added, which are just cards you play on your first turn, and then you complete certain conditions as you continue playing, and you get a big, sometimes game-ending buff or card from completing the quest. Quests could be kind of super horribly imbalanced in that way that once someone completed a quest, the game was over. But yeah, we're going to have to see how they play out in the new meta. These are different kinds of quests. Blizzard has had a lot more experience balancing the game since they were the first attempt to release quests. There are also kindred cards, which are minions, where if you played a minion of the same family in the previous turn, and then you play a kindred minion on this turn, you get additional buffs to that minion, which is going to encourage some more, same minion type synergies, which sometimes having the same minion types in a deck was really important, depending on the kind of deck you were playing. Dragons could buff other dragons, pirates could buff other pirates, things like that. But this is really going to stress that more, that you're going to want to stick to the same minion type, which is actually a little bit of a battlegrounds play style, where you usually play a specific minion family, and you don't want to go outside it. And so again, this is going to shake up the constructed meta. This is going to change up how you play, and it's always fun to see how a new expansion it changes up the game. This is an exciting time to play because everything is in flux. It's not that time where it's like, oh, there's one meta deck and everyone is playing it, and every time I log on, I'm fighting people with the same deck, and that can get,
Are we talking about Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering? Jesus.
Both. I mean, this is just a collectible card game thing that happens. So Hearthstone throws out a new expansion about every 3 months, new cards, kind of gives an injection of excitement to the game. So it's a good time. It's a good time to play Hearthstone. Maybe.
Well, let's talk about the other thing. To quote Joker from Mass Effect 2, it's this horrible thing we don't like to talk about. It's like ship cancer. Let's talk about King Krush, the cutest little dinosaur pet you ever going to want to get for your Hearthstone, and how you get it. I get kind of like drooly spit spraying when I talk about this. So I'm going to leave it up to Cory and Liz and possibly Joe if he feels like jumping in. But I hate this and I am unhappy about it. Either one of you two want to talk? Because Liz just had to talk a lot. So Cory?
I'm just going to say that King Krush getting its own cinematic when so many other things don't, for the $160 pull the slot machine wheel, as cute. Loved the cinematic, super cute, but to get that for a $160 slot machine is not great. It's taking an already scummy and scammy method of delivery and just making it all the more predatory, and I don't like that. Dinosaur remains cute, but super predatory.
So the King Krush pet indeed did get a really detailed 3D animated cinematic today, which Hearthstone expansions don't get cinematics like this. Hearthstone does not usually get cinematics like this, but King Krush, the new pet and the most adorable baby dinosaur you have ever seen in your life, got a big cinematic to match his big $158 price tag. Getting King Krush is a gacha style game where it's essentially a slot machine. You pay money and you get one spin of the wheel and you have a tiny chance to get King Krush. A 0.1% chance to get him on your first spin. Each time that chance goes up a tiny bit to a maximum of 6.67% chance. But each time you spin the wheel, it costs more. Each time. It costs a little more, and you may have to spin it $158 worth of times in order to be guaranteed to get him.
Because there's a great chance that it goes up as you're spending money.
So there are a certain number of things in this reward track. 10 items? 10. There are 10 rewards you can possibly get, and you can only get each reward once. So each time, the chances of getting King Krush goes up, but it remains the most rare thing in this little game. So
you will get it by the 10th time, but by then it will have gone up in value 10 times, so it will cost you $168 total, right?
158, which is such
$158 US dollars.
158 US dollars. Yes,
220 or so Canadian.
Yes, it is a high number of dollars. So
yeah, I
feels real bad.
This feels bad, and I'm saying this as somebody who routinely drops hundreds of dollars on Magic cards, but at the end of the day, I physically have the card in my hand versus, and we just talked about this with the other game, if God forbid anything happens and this game goes under and you lose, and they decide to get rid of it and you lose this, and you just spent $160 on your pet that you can't take with you, that just feels bad. On top of the fact that this is so bloody expensive. Like, I can't wrap my head around that. Like, I know we talked about this before, and like Liz and I know we've had a chat about it, but oh my goodness, like, how? Like, why? Like, this just feels extra predatory. And maybe
Well,
I'm
and
wrong,
also
but like
the other thing, I'm not going to disagree with you. The other thing is the first spin is free. So I mean, they really do this thing
Oh my god.
that really feels like a predatory gambling style gotcha tactic where it's like you just have 10 spins to get everything and the first spin is free. You're
But
not
this
going to get what you
my
want
God,
on the
this
first
is-
spin.
This is the beginning of a dare.
Mhm.
So
There
I
was an online
did go in.
widget. There was an online widget where you could pretend to pull this lever and see how long it took you to get King Krush. And I think I pulled it 50 times, did the whole thing 50 times. And of those 50 times, one time I got King Krush on the fourth pull. And a handful of times, no more than 5 or 6, I got him 7 or 8 instead of 10. So it's so rare to get him so early. So he's basically the $168 pet, $58 pet.
Yeah, it's so rare.
$216 Canadian, in case you're.
Hmm.
I went. And
So I
looked at it.
did log on to the game earlier, and I used my free spin, and I got an Angoro card pack, which, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to complain. I got a free card pack. I am not going to spend $158 to get this baby dinosaur pet, even though it is the most adorable baby dinosaur I have ever seen. It's
It is.
$158.
I will not say it's the most adorable baby dinosaur I've ever seen, because I have seen a lot of baby dinosaurs. But regardless, it is freaking cute. I mean, if it was just available for $25,
Yeah.
like, I'd buy it. I mean, I would feel bad.
But even
Like,
then,
but
even if it was $35, I could see people do that.
yeah, just to
Yeah.
have this cute pet.
It's-
I mean, geez.
It's like if they rolled this out and you could just spend money and have it, it would be so much more appealing. But instead, you have to play this stupid slot machine game, and every time it's more expensive, and it's annoying. It makes me aggressively not want to spend money on this game.
I will say,
Yeah.
silver lining,
It
at
feels
least
so bad.
at least is a slot machine, so like they're accurately representing that you're gambling instead of loot boxes. I mean,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe. I will say, if I was going to drop $158 on something this month, it would be Summer Games Done Quick, which is happening right now to
That's a heck of a
benefit
segue.
Doctors Without Borders. I thought that was a good segue.
I think it was
That's
a very
a
good
heck of a
segue.
segue.
That is one of the things that makes me feel so bad about this, that Blizzard is asking us to spend $158 on this while, alt tab away to the other screen, and it's Summer
Doctors
Games
Without
Done
Borders.
Quick, raising money for Doctors Without Borders. And they...
Watch somebody play Titanfall 2, guys. Which is still one of my favorite games. It's really good. The fact that there was never, and there might never be, a Titanfall 3 at this point saddens me amazingly. And it's just one of many, many games you can watch people do crazy things in.
We can hope when EA closes that our titles, our favorite titles, will go to good homes. Maybe
EA's not going to close. EA is a lich. It's just going to burst.
But let's
forth
talk
from
about
its
positive
roots.
stuff, because the Summer Games Done Quick is actually really, really cool, and like it is a
Yeah,
good.
well, like, just some of the amazing things you're going to get to see is there's a Super Metroid low percentage ice race one, which is just nuts. Doom the Dark Age has an any percent one, which I don't
I'm
even know what they're
excited
doing.
for
But
that.
yeah,
Because I love
just
Doom the
wanna
Dark
see-
Ages, and I've seen barely little of that game, and there are some brutal parts of it. I want to see what a speedrunner does. Break that game!
yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
There
Joe, I'm
was
sorry
a-
to say, usually it involves spinning, at least in the previous Doom, it involves spinning the weapon wheel really fast and then glitching up through the ceiling of the map.
I don't know that they're going to
Yeah.
do that here.
That does. Also, the Blueprints one looks interesting because it's Quest Bingo.
The Blueprints one was really fun. It is B-Quest Bingo, which is the main game mode in which you are given a bequest by your uncle in his will. But
That was this
it is
Sunday, so
lit-
it's already happened. Sorry, guys, but
that was literally, and everything after it's happened, you can find it on YouTube. So it doesn't matter if it's in the past, you can find it on YouTube. But I thought Blueprints was really fun because they literally had a bingo board, and each spot on the bingo board had a different objective that you had to do in game. And of course, you were trying to get from one side of the bingo board to the other. And it was winners the first one to get a bingo. And after they did that, they did just a standard speed run of the game, which was 2 minutes. 2 minutes exactly. That whole game, because there is a special way you can clip outside of the game world and zoom to the end if you have kind of really precise positioning to get from here to here to here to here. Which, of course, speedrunners. Speedrunners, they figure that stuff out. And so that was a really fun one. And
I'm looking forward to the Still Wakes the Deep one. That's going to be something.
I was looking at the Still Wakes the Deep one, and I'm like, what is a Still Wakes the Deep speedrun? Is it just a speedrun into the endless terror of the void, or are you just like walking right into the endless terror? I don't know. But that's part of the horror block, which I think is always really fun, because you are playing really silly, really scary games, but you're playing them really fast and often with different kinds of exploits to get places where maybe you aren't supposed to go. And they can turn really silly. And they're fun. It's fun to watch. Is anyone else looking forward to anything in particular this week with Summer Games Done Quick? Yeah.
Control, one of my top 10 games of all time, is being speedrun. And I love seeing what people do with it, because Control is literally a game in which you get psychic powers to do fantastical things. And I love watching ways that you can break this game. So I'm really looking forward to watching that run.
What about you, Cory? Do you follow SGDQ?
I only ever see the highlights and the memes from it. I don't really watch them for that, but it's always so impressive, when you see that, like, this game was finished in 13 seconds because. So I really appreciate that for that. It's always so interesting to see how people have found ways to break things.
It's just a good time. You're going here and you're celebrating games, and it's just this big group of people who loves video games, and we're all playing video games and watching video games and cheering each other on and donating money to a really great cause. And this feels like, for all that we talk about the horrible things that can happen in video games, both, from corporate greed and layoffs to just games that didn't reach their full potential, games that maybe didn't have enough development time, or games that just didn't work out. Games Done Quick is everything that's great about gaming and everything that's great about being a gamer and loving video games. So this is just, they do this big thing twice a year, Summer Games Done Quick and Awesome Games Done Quick, and they're always great. They always make you feel good about video games, good about being a gamer, even when other gaming news kind of sucks.
I'm actually still trying to figure out this Hercules: The Legendary Journeys game. I don't remember this game. So, is this based on a TV show? I'm hoping it's not.
You do sometimes see games on here that it's like, what? What is that? Of course, later this week, they're playing an Airport for Aliens, currently run by dogs. I am looking forward to watching that one. But that is a game I had previously heard of. So, not a total mystery, but also it's an Airport for Aliens currently run by dogs. That's it. That's the game.
There's not a lot to it. It does what it says on the tin. It's very cute.
However, I am going to, at this point, look to Liz and say we should probably do site news now, because it's time.
Yes, I want to thank all of our wonderful supporters out there for supporting us on Patreon. And for the people who don't support us on Patreon, I love you guys too. Listening to the show, reading the website, sharing our stuff on social media, all of that helps us out so much. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you. I will say that our support on Patreon is a little low right now, and we're at about $3,500. Our goal is to keep it up around $4,000, and it's been kind of trending downward a little, which is not unexpected. It's not weird. It's not something we can't deal with, but we're a lot more comfortable and the site is more stable when we're up at that $4,000 level. So if anyone is able to support us on Patreon, it would really help the site and to keep us going, because it's you guys that keep us going and let us be here and do all of these things and have these conversations about the great things in gaming, like Summer Games Done Quick. So if you can support us, if you give us $3 a month, that gets you early access to all of these podcasts and a better chance of getting your questions answered on the podcast or the queue. And we actually have a question today. I don't know if we'll have time for it, from one of our Patreon supporters. And so, if you can, please help us out. If you can't, I understand. Please keep listening, sharing, reading, subscribe to our shows. All of it helps. Now, if you do have a few minutes, if you could fill out our podcast survey, it will help us improve the show, possibly help us attract some sponsors. It is at bit.ly/BlizzardWatchPodcast, all one word, -survey, and it will be linked in the podcast description. If you have a few minutes, that helps us out, so thank you very much. And you can subscribe to our other podcast, Tavern Watch and Lore Watch, about tabletop gaming and video game lore, respectively. Sometimes other kinds of lore. Joe and I have been talking about non-video game things we might do because we're so excited about it.
We're going to do it.
Okay. We talked about Doctor Who too, and we haven't gotten to that one yet. There are so many great things in this world that we could talk about. Also, if you are on social media, which I understand if you aren't because the world is kind of a terrible place. Sometimes you just don't want to deal with it. But we are also on social media, and we try to share things that aren't terrible. We do our best. We are Blizzard Watch on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, Facebook, and Mastodon. On Mastodon, we're on gamepad.club, blizzardwatch.com on Bluesky, and Blizzard Watch podcasts on YouTube. If you follow us on Instagram, you will get clips of our podcasts, which I think are entertaining and funny. We also post those on Twitter and Words, Twitter and Bluesky. Yes, those are things. I'm gonna keep calling it Twitter. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't. I can't. So thank you all very much for your support. It really helps us out.
I should probably read this question now. I was like, what happens now? I should probably do the thing I'm supposed to do. This one is from Tetsemi. He is a Patreon supporter, as is mentioned before, and this is one of the things we do for you guys because we love you. Live service games inherently seem to have systems with a level of grind built in to keep players engaged while new story and game content is being worked on. What game systems do you actually enjoy, and which make you want to fire up the game in the nearest star? So that's just gonna. I got D4 here. Liz, I rolled a 2, and I'm deciding that you're 2. Go ahead.
I pasted this question into our podcast document, and I did not actually read it. This ties into everything we've been talking about today a terrible way.
Well, not necessarily.
So
we got some good stuff we could maybe get in there. Go for it, Liz.
I do think I like having things to do, things that are fun, and a good live service game will give you things that are fun and keep your interest, so you keep playing. Even those free-to-play games that are trying to get you to encourage you to do microtransaction, the key is having content that is fun enough to keep players there and engaged, because when you're there and having fun, you're going to think about spending money. World of Warcraft is doing a killer job out there, and it's not because they're saying, hey, give us money. They don't have an advertisement to give them money all the time. They have microtransactions, they have mounts, they sell transmogs, they have a subscription fee. And frankly, the subscription fee feels a little quaint right now in this world of battle passes, but it feels great. I pay them a certain amount of month, and I get all of these things every month. And every other month, there's a patch with new story content, new game mechanics, new things to do. There's always something to do in the game. There's almost always something new to do, and it's a place where I go and I have a lot of fun with friends. I think World of Warcraft does a great job of being a good live service game. So it's, making money, paying its developers, but also being really fun because it's putting out content that's enjoyable, content that isn't like an in-your-face advertisement, give me money for this now, and I can pay a certain amount and I get the game. And that feels very quaint right now, but that feels also good. I know what I'm getting. I know what I'm paying for. And because I'm having fun, I am also tempted to sometimes buy other things. Yeah, transmog set. That looks, Oh, there's a pet.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a charity pet. I always wind up buying the charity pet. They always get me to do that. Which, that does kind of tie back into that adorable baby dinosaur and summer games done quick. You can really get people with a charity pet.
I want to jump in real quick and give mine, but also want to make sure that I say this. everybody associates live services games with a very specific type of game. And in fact, it's a way broader spectrum than people would really think. Like you mentioned World of Warcraft, even though it's a paid subscription, it is a live services game, as is Final Fantasy XIV. These are still live services games, and there are many, many live services games that actually do things really, really well, or at least used to. Rocket League jumps to mind as a game that has really great core gameplay. Yes, it is repetitive, but because you're playing against other people or playing with friends or whatever the case is in a car soccer match, it's, a very fun experience, and that repetitive gameplay loop is just fine. You have things like Genshin Impact, which is a gacha game and a live services game all at the same time, and is incredibly popular. People still play it. And even if you invest no money in it whatsoever, is still an enjoyable experience for the vast majority of people who try it, especially if you like games like Breath of the Wild, because there's a lot of overlap there. Path of Exile is a live services game. Path of Exile is extremely popular. League of Legends. Diablo 4. League of Legends. Destiny 2. Marvel Rivals is a live services game. The thing that makes a good live services game versus a bad live services game is the gameplay loop fun? And it doesn't necessarily have to not be repetitive. It could be the same thing over and over and over again, but is it fun? Is there a positive impact? Do you enjoy what you're diving into? And those tend to be the best ones. And the ones that fail are the ones that don't understand that concept of, yes, this is a live services game, but it should still be fun. It's like, no, this is a live services game. You only get to have fun if you spend money. Those are the ones that tend to be right out the window. Like,
fun shouldn't be the reward. It should be the carrot.
Yeah, the fun should be the carrot, and then the reward should be us giving them money. And I've brought this up in the past. And as far as like gameplay mechanics that I tend to like, even when they feel like a bit of a grind, I'm a sucker for roguelike games. If you go through my Steam library, it is 80 to 90% roguelikes. I like that style of game where the game will shift. If you made a live services game that shifted and did like, I don't know, a Hades style thing, yes, it's going to be popular, and yes, it's going to be something I enjoy and play. But when a game goes into pay to progress or pay to win or pay to unlock basic game functions like skills or skill points, then that's when I want to fire it into the sun. So those are my 2 cents and my long-winded answer for you, Titsemi. I hope you enjoy that. And then I'll toss it over to Matt or Cory.
Oh, Cory?
Ooh, I mean, yeah, just like I like to play the game that I'm playing. If you're gonna throw up a roadblock in me, like, oh, you've done 3 things this hour already. Do you want to buy more energy to do more things? Then yeah, no, I'm not gonna stick with your game for very long. It doesn't really boil. There's not much more to it. I can't speak to a single specific live service mechanic specifically that I'm like, yeah, this is what I like to see. It's just, can I play your game? Is your game fun? Is it cute? Does it have neat stuff? Does it have a good logo? Would I buy that logo and put it on a t-shirt kind of thing? And,
my thing is quite simple.
Yeah.
Oh, are you done? I'm sorry, I thought you were done, Cory.
Oh no, that's it. Yeah, go for it.
My thing is real simple. Can I ignore your live service? Like, I'm not kidding. Can I play this game and never engage with the live service? If that's yes, then it's already doing what I wanted to do. It's a game that I can play. That's it. That's one of the, I don't like to say that this one's a live service because people are very negative towards Ubisoft live service for good reason. Like, it's not like Ubisoft is some innocent, child out in the woods being attacked by wolves and everyone's blaming Ubisoft for the wolves being injured. It's Ubisoft comes up with the ridiculous predatory microtransactions and will not stop until all life on Earth has been extinguished. But regardless, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a live service game. It had, you could buy an XP boost, you could buy like gear, like all that stuff was there, ready for, you could technically get all of it by playing the game. Like, there was a mechanism for getting it by playing the game, but you could buy all of it, and it was there. it was one of my favorite games of 2018, and I played that game into the ground, and I spent maybe $10 on that stuff. Like there's like a Pegasus suit of armor that I just absolutely had to have, but that was it. That was the only time I spent any money on it. The rest was just play the game long enough and you will get all this stuff. That works for me. Whereas stuff like Cory's mentioning was like, you can't do any more in the game. You can't stab any more people, Cassandra. You need to get some more energy. Would you like to buy some energy? No, I'm not doing that. I want to stab people. And as long as you let me stab people. Like Diablo 4's microtransactions bugged the heck out of me. I don't like them. I am actively confused by the season pass at this point, the Reliquist. But yet, I still like playing Diablo. Like, as long as I can sit there and just smash things on a barbarian, I'm a pig in a paddock. I'm happy as can be. That's all I'm asking, game. Let me ignore this. That doesn't mean I will ignore it. I just want it to be an option. That's the reason that Diablo Immortal and I fell out, because it wasn't ignorable. I couldn't not do it. I couldn't not engage with it. I had to go to the in-game store every day to get my special treasure, and then they're just going to throw millions of ads at me, and it's just like, look, I just want to sit here and play this game for an hour and smash things. If you won't let me do that, I'm not going to keep playing it. Fallout 4 is technically a live service game. We were talking about Fallout 4 earlier.
76.
Yeah, 76, but 76 is very obviously a live service game and everyone knows it. But even Fallout 4 has all these microtransactions and all this stuff, and it's like, can I ignore it? The litmus test is always going to be, can I ignore it for me?
I agree with that, actually. Like, I mean, the game that I spent the most money on is, and I will never reveal the total because I looked at it once and I never want to speak those words out loud again. The amount of money that I spent on League of Legends, on skins and just stuff like that for a free game is absolutely obscene. But it was not because I felt I had to do something. It was because I wanted the shiny, pretty thing and to support the game that I enjoyed playing thousands of hours in.
And you didn't spend it all at one go either.
No.
You didn't just sit down, and you didn't have to do it for gameplay power.
I didn't buy a $158 pet,
Yeah, exactly. Like we said earlier, we'd buy that Krush pet if it was just a one-time purchase of a set amount of money that we knew what it was. Yeah. But the gambling aspect, no, this is terrible. No, I'm out. So yeah, I think that basically that's it for me. I think we've all pretty much said what we need to say on this one. Does anyone else have a final thing they want to say about this before we move on to the getting out of here?
Mm-hmm.
Cory, Joe?
No.
Nope.
All right, then. We are going to say goodbye, guys. Thank you all being here with us. It's really very helpful to doing a podcast when people listen to it. Otherwise, we're just kind of sitting around chatting. This has been the Bluesky
Not that you're not fun to talk to.
Well, I'm not fun to talk to. My God. Keeping track of what I'm saying. Ugh. Even I don't know what I'm doing half the time. But you guys are great. Thank you again to Cory, Liz, and Joe for everything that they do to make this a fun experience for you guys and for me, really, quite frankly. I get to talk about Mayday on the pre-show. That was fun. I haven't done that in a while. So yeah, thanks you so much to everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us. And we'll be back next week.